Welcome to Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast. Our goal is to keep you informed, inspired, and a little entertained on all things diabetes. The information contained in the program is based on the experience and opinions of the Integrated Diabetes Services clinical team. Since this is a very individualized condition, please check with your healthcare provider before implementing any of the weird stuff we may happen to share with you today. I'm your host, Gary Scheiner. I'm owner and clinical director of Integrated Diabetes Services. And today we have the unique pleasure of spending some time with Kathryn Gentile-Alvarez, who is our Head of Exercise Physiology at Integrated Diabetes Services. So, Kathryn, welcome. How are things in Florida today?
They're beautiful. I wonder if it's hotter here or hotter in Pennsylvania. I like to check that. It's really
It hit
fun.
98 in Philly yesterday.
Yeah, it's crazy. It did not hit 98 here, but I'm in North Florida. It's much cooler than it is in other places. It's only 82 right now.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of attending Kathryn's wedding a few months ago down in Jacksonville. That was quite an experience.
Yeah, it was the best day ever for me and Kenny. We just had the best time.
You were a beautiful bride.
Thank you.
That was, and one of your patients even came for it. You're a popular diabetes clinician nowadays.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I got the opportunity to meet her at a diabetes retreat, and she's super fun.
So, I mean, you've been with our practice a while, but you started out as an intern.
Yes.
You were working for Essentia. You were doing an internship, and
yeah, this story is actually pretty funny. I should tell everybody how I landed at Integrated Diabetes Services. When I was in undergrad, I read Think Like a Pancreas, and I was like, wow, I want to be just like Gary Scheiner. So that's why I'm an exercise physiologist. And then I got the internship at Essentia. But before that, I sent an email to Gary Scheiner, but it was the wrong Gary Scheiner. And he emailed me back and he's like, oh, I think you meant to email the diabetes master or something like that.
Was it the guy in New York who works for the ad agency?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote to him because there's not many people with our names spelled the same. He never wrote me back.
Cool. He wrote me back. He was very nice.
Yeah.
He probably felt bad for me. Like, oh, this poor college student trying to email her hero. But really, I got an internship at Essentia through JDRF. And I told Essentia that I wanted to be just like you. So they connected me to you.
That's embarrassing. It really is. I think you should aspire much higher than that.
No, you're so awesome, Gary. I don't think you're so silly.
See, this is why I hired you. You're very good for my ego.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, a lot of times you hear, like, never meet the person you most look up to, but you are everything I thought you were.
I am recording this, aren't I? Yes, I am recording. Okay. I'm going to play this back for my wife so she knows how wonderful I really am.
There you go. Yeah.
Debbie likes to keep me in my place. You know that.
Yeah. You have to have somebody that keeps people humble.
So when we met, you were still on injections. You weren't even on a pump at that point.
Yep.
Were you at least using a CGM then, or were you still doing finger sticks?
Yeah, I was. I was on the Dexcom G5 and the InPen.
The InPen. Okay, well, at least it was something kind of modern.
Yeah, something there.
Yeah. And I think one of the first things we did is I came to the conclusion pretty quickly that you needed to be on a pump.
Yeah. What it really was I was working with Alicia. You paired me with Alicia, and then it was awesome. I still find myself like quoting things that I learned from her in my appointments. But when I came, almost everyone at that point was still on DIY loop. And I told Alicia, that's what I want to do. When I went to lunch with you, you were like, here, you bolus me for lunch. Look at my app that I use. And I was like, what is this? This is the coolest thing ever. That's why I wanted to be on a pump.
Yeah, I mean, and interestingly, you've evolved to be, I think, the most tech savvy member of our team. And, most of the clients that we work with who need tech assistance go to you. You're the go-to person now for these higher level technologies. So what are you using now? What's your current platform that you're working?
I'm currently beta testing Trio. It's a different algorithm than what Loop is, and it has a lot more toggles, I would say, to it, like just way more settings. They call them preferences that you're switching over to. Trio is kind of the new option.
Yeah, I started looping probably about 6 years ago. I was on the JDRF board at the time, and I ran into Aaron Kowalski, president of JDRF, and he had just started it. And since he and I were, the two type ones at the meeting, we were just comparing notes, and it looked interesting. And I knew, hey, if Aaron can do this, I can do this. So I did give it a try. And it was tough for me to build that original version of Loop because I never used Mac computers. I only used PCs. So I had to borrow a Mac computer, and the user interface is so much different that it took me a while to actually get that up and running. But it finally did, and I haven't looked back. I've been using Loop. I've been very happy with it. When it comes to our staff, all of our clinicians live with type 1. We'll experiment. We'll try things like Trio, and we'll try any product that comes out, any meds that come out, we'll try them. When it comes to our clients, though, we're a little more cautious. We're generally not going to recommend things that we don't feel are going to be safe for them. So you've made multiple transitions. I mean, you started out just on a basic pump. Was it an Omnipod you started with?
Yep.
All right. What other pumps have you tried?
I've worn the Tandem. I've worn an old mini med to try out like a extended wear infusion set. So yeah, that's it. Okay. I don't have like a 100 pump lists like you do, Gary.
We've just got reps calling on us all the time here. So what's your favorite?
The pod with Loop, though. When I used the Omnipod 5, it definitely was not the right system for me. So I mean, I did use it with the Omnipod 5 algorithm.
I feel the same way, but I'm curious, what was it about Omnipod 5 that came up short for you?
Just the customization, it wasn't there. The activity mode and the adjustment of target and correct above blood sugars just wasn't what I already had with Loop. Mm-hmm. So it's not like my management on Omnipod 5 was like a disaster, dumpster fire, but it was not even close to comparable to what I was able to achieve on Loop.
Yeah, one of the things with Omnipod 5 that I struggled with is I'm one of those people who has a really significant peak and valley to my basal needs. And something the Omnipod 5 does, which is the same as what Medtronic does, is it creates what they call an adjusted basal rate. It's just a flat basal rate based on your total insulin use, and it adjusts from there. So it waits until you start rising or falling to make an adjustment. But by then, sometimes it's a little too late.
What I had to do was take that breakfast insulin to carb ratio way lower than what it actually is like on a standard pump. And I'd have to dose like as soon as I was getting out of bed to cover that huge increase in basal needs that it wasn't going to cover.
And if you sleep in, what happens?
Well, you're going up.
It goes up, right? And then eventually the algorithm kicks in and fixes it. But the young people we work with, children, the teens, they usually get a basal peak in the evening, around bedtime, and almost every one of them, their glucose shoots up at that time. So unless they're giving a meal bolus beforehand where we can compensate, their sugar climbs at that time of day.
Yep. And then they totally tank out like 2, 3 a.m. Every data I go into, they get that big growth rise and then low blood sugar around 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah. So again, the DIY, they're not really do it yourself anymore because there is still a lot of support. What kind of support is available to people who go on something like Loop?
Well, the biggest support is the community. And honestly, I would argue that the community is much better customer service than you're going to get with your FDA approved systems. Mm-hmm. people on Loop, they go on either different channels or on social media platforms. So the big one, we have Discord, and then we have like the Facebook groups is the most popular ones where people go for help. They post their question and the community jumps in to help them out. And then there's moderators to make sure that the advice and everything doesn't go way off basis and they get some craziness.
So they're not going to ask everybody, so what was your last blood sugar? Where are you wearing your infusions? They're not going to ask all the list of questions.
Did you follow all the correct steps?
The company tech support, when you call it to the toll-free
Yeah.
number,
No scripted thing that they're reading.
Yeah, all the bull crap questions they go through just to get to the point that you want help with. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that is annoying. So of the open source systems that you have experience with, do you find certain ones are best for certain people, or do you think there's just one that's best?
Definitely. It definitely varies person to person. And that's with every system, I think. I think there's a right person for all of the different options that we have. Yeah, I'm finding Trio it's really, really great, but for a lot of people, it's going to be way too complicated. There's just too many things within the like setup from like a dialing in setting standpoint, and it's just too overwhelming for a lot of people. But for the people that it's not, it's going to work really, really great once you get all of those things toggled in correctly. Loop, there's not so many buttons to push and settings that you have to have dialed in, but your settings are really, really important with Loop. Whereas with Trio, they're not quite as important.
Can you still do kind of custom temp overrides in Trio?
Yeah, and the really nice thing about those, so they have profiles and temp targets with Trio. And the thing that really stands out to me, so with Loop, let's say you have your high fat override on, and maybe you increase your overall insulin needs by 150%. So we have that set for a specific duration, but if you go into the bolus calculator, it's also going to impact that carb ratio dose. So you have to tap the override off, deliver your insulin, and then put it back on and adjust the time. Trio, you have these additional options where you can turn off the impact of affecting the carb ratio. You can also turn off the impact of it affecting ISF. So you can have it like just change the basal profile and that's it. Which technically you can do in Loop too if you just go under the pod and you do like a temp basal. But then you're not in fully closed loop. So it's not fully.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine the people who are writing the code for Loop can update that as well, make an option that it would only adjust the basal and not the bolus if you choose that.
Yeah, definitely. I think an important option that would be great to have in Loop.
Something I've always liked about the open source systems is how adaptable they are. If someone has an idea that makes a lot of sense, is going to help a lot of people, they write the code for it. It's up, it's available, you can install it. I remember when the ultra fast insulins like Fias came out, it took years before the pump companies were able to, and some of them haven't even updated the insulin on board algorithm to work with those ultra rapid insulins. But Loop had it within weeks. It's real quick.
Yep. Same with like the new CGMs and everything. I mean, G7, no time you could use it with Loop.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I used the temporary overrides a lot for different types of workouts. So if I go to the weight room, I just have to make a slight adjustment to my insulin delivery. If I work out in the morning, I don't have to make any adjustments. But if it's a cardio workout, I have to lower my insulin quite a bit. And if I'm going to play basketball for a few hours, I have to lower it while I play, but then again overnight. Otherwise, I tend to drop. But those temp overrides, as custom ones, give me a lot of flexibility to manage those. So as the exercise physiologists at IDS, you and I are in that unique position of kind of working with people who are involved in a lot of sports and recreational exercise. What are you doing to stay in shape these days? Any sports that you've gotten into?
I'm playing it. So pickleball is huge here. I think it's becoming big everywhere, but I like to play some pickleball now. Sometimes I'll do some tennis because the pickleball courts get loaded.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I do a lot of bike riding.
Nice. How does your blood sugar respond to pickleball?
Pickleball lowers it. I have to reduce insulin needs on an override. Now with I do a profile with Trio for it.
Yeah, I find, sports where there's a mental and a physical component, blood sugar seem to drop a lot more than if it's just purely like a cardio workout. So
Yeah.
once you get your brain involved, you're burning even more glucose.
Yeah. It's, I mean, every once in a while I'll get an adrenaline rise because I just get that super competitive nature. I really like to win. So it's a tough matchup.
I honestly, I've not played pickleball yet. Although, the gym where I play basketball, they set up pickleball courts there. So I'm tempted to pick up a racket one day and just give it a try.
Yeah, you got to do it. We were kind of ahead of the trend on it a little bit because they had it at the Spooky Nook. So we used to just kind of casually play there, and then it became super big.
Okay. How many days a week are you working out now?
6.
Yeah, cool. Me too.
Yeah.
There's usually one day a week where I just cannot get the workout in just because
Yeah.
of schedule stuff, but I try to
Yep.
work out every day.
Wednesdays.
And I'm night guy, not getting up early morning and getting to the gym or doing anything like going out for early morning is when you were here at the office, you might remember when I'd come in first thing in the morning. I was not like Mr. Happy. So
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm not either. I'm not a morning person or a night person, which I just I like to sleep. I used to do the morning workouts though. I used to wake up, go to CrossFit first thing in the morning. It's so nice for blood sugars to be able to do that. And then going to the gym now, I'm going in the evening, like 6 o'clock, and it is so packed full. Gives me a little bit of social anxiety, but it's okay.
come on. You're in good shape. I used to tell people, wait till you meet Kathryn. She can bench press a Buick.
Yeah,
You're always taking good care of yourself. So we try to walk the walk around here.
absolutely.
Blood sugar wise, not always, but that's par for the course for everybody. What it's like
Definitely.
to do all the right things and still have blood sugars that suck for a while. It just
Yeah.
happens.
Yep. Yeah. Yesterday I had a high blood sugar, and for whatever reason, it made me very mad, and I rage bolus. And I was like, I haven't done rage bolusing for a very long time. I don't know why I hit it myself so hard
Did you pay the
yesterday.
price for it?
I sure did.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once in a
Super.
while, those rage boluses turn out okay, and you're thinking, "Wow, I'm onto something here." But no, don't do it.
Yeah. No, it did not turn out okay.
Yeah, it will get you in some trouble. You had a little addition to your family. Is she around?
Yeah, Miss Gravy. She sure is around, and she just ate a box. Here's the box that she ate. Come here, Gravy. Come here. You saying that?
There she
Hi.
is. Hey, Gravy. Gravy, eat food. Food is for eating, not boxes and batteries and clothing.
And worse things that put her in the doggy hospital.
What are some of the areas you feel like you have this best expertise?
So definitely the DIY section, and especially getting started. The build process really stresses people out. So I can do a lot of hand holding through that, and then just getting started, how it works and everything. Also exercise and sport, working through that. And then I have a lot of firsthand experience with very young children with type 1. So working through the ins and outs of your toddler refusing to eat the meal that you just dosed them for and running around like a mad person. Those fun things that come with
Oh, yeah.
toddler.
So I was going to do this battle of the exercise physiologist thing and see if I can ask a question to stump you. if somebody is exercising,
Wait, now I'm nervous. What if
the
I don't know?
body's cells can absorb glucose even without insulin present. What are those little thingies called that transport glucose into the cells that don't require insulin?
Uh, that transport glucose into the cells that don't require insulin.
Yeah.
Um, glucose like receptor.
Incorrect. It's GLUT4.
Oh yeah, GLUT4.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, GLUT4. This is the stuff they don't teach you in grad school.
GL is so glue. I was on to it. I was on to it, Gary.
You were, yeah, sure you were.
No, we didn't do that in grad school. That was undergrad.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's see. What does MET stand for? MET. Don't tell me it's the baseball team from New York.
No, like exercise mets.
Yeah.
Like on a treadmill.
I should have provided these questions in advance.
Yeah. So then I could have all right, I'm gonna pull it up on Google, but
No,
pretend
no,
I'm
no,
not.
no, 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 no. Just because you're so tech savvy doesn't mean you can do that.
Um uh okay, what does it stand for?
METs, metabolic equivalence. So like, baseline is 1,
Okay,
and
well what does one met equal?
that's your metabolic rate. That's just energy expenditure at rest. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
that is right.
So
Yeah.
I remembered that. You got one for me?
Um, what does epoch stand for?
Now, you can't ask me anything that was taught after 1993. All right.
I
Oh,
don't think it was
what,
called after.
epochs?
Yeah, epoch.
Epoch.
EPOC.
Uh, does it have something to do with glue?
No.
Epoxy?
No.
Epoch.
Oxygen.
Yeah, I know oxygen's in there somewhere. Energy.
No.
Ah, damn. Give me another hint.
Um, well, you had oxygen.
Oxygen consumption.
Yes.
All right. EP.
After you finish exercise, think about like you
Recovery,
have
heart recovery. Give up. What is it?
excess post exercise oxygen consumption.
There's an extra E in there. I thought it was EPOC.
It
See,
is EPO.
it's
I guess they just
because
combined two.
epioc is harder to say.
Yeah, that doesn't
See,
sound
if I'd
good.
known about that extra E, I would have had it like that. Well, we learn a lot from each other, and I do appreciate that. But when it comes to the tech stuff, Kathryn, you're my go-to person. I hope you'll be working with us for a long time, at least until we have a cure, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do if diabetes is cured? We've all got to find different lines of work.
Oh yeah, we do. I think I'll just work as an exercise physiologist.
Kathryn, thank you for spending some time with me and all of our listeners. You are a true treasure. I'm so glad you're part of our team and glad I met you all those years ago.
I'm so glad too.
On behalf of Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast, I'm Gary Scheiner. Have a great rest of your